Chair.
You've got like fans now, Chair, whoever you are.
I love the not full suite. Just
It was much easier for you when you pretended that your daughter was a male and you called her Kai and you called her he, him pronouns. You've now realised that fuck this, I'm not doing it, right? I'm not using the pronouns. And
the trouble is that I'm coming to the impression that it's actually destroying, if not destroyed, my relationship with my younger daughter, who's always been, she's autistic, she's a TERF. My attention was largely on my eldest. And now my youngest, who turned 13 halfway through June, has just been the most horrific person. Just keeps telling me that I'm a bad mother, that I'm irresponsible. And I need to now try and find a way of getting her back on board.
I understand that these teenagers are cross, and they're not cross at politicians. They're not cross at anybody who's in government. They're not cross at anybody who's in the National Health Service. They're cross at us. One of these things that we have to remember as parents, you know, our teenagers hate us. They're angry at us, and of course they are.
But I know that when the whole trans thing, like, it got into, like, affected my family, you know, I was guilty of using the wrong pronouns and stuff. It's a rabbit hole that I can't get out of.
I don't know how we build a bridge, you know, from us to them. I will hold on to the belief that people can get better, and I will hold on to the desire for us to move forward. And that's for women, that's for the LGB, and that's for a safe world for gender non-conformity.
Some of the chat that goes on Twitter and all the rest of it, you would have the idea that you know, I mean, I'm not saying it's true, but I'm saying it's true for some women. It's just like, we're fucking useless and we can't do anything right anyway, you know, because you're a bloke, you know, and it doesn't matter, you know, what kind of bloke you are, you're the problem.
Right, I can see why that would be a thought in your head. Well, it is a difficulty sometimes, especially in this field. Yeah. You know, the not all men thing can trigger a lot of women. It's
yeah, I mean, it's not men, I know that, and without being too harsh about it, there are some fucking horrible women out there as well. Believe me, you know.
Can I ask you, have you ever been afraid of a woman?
I've been. I mean, well, if you're talking about physically, no.
I just wanted to highlight that and ask you that question. But even though you don't feel physically attacked or physically worried about women, there's a psychological aspect to why you would be worried.
I don't know. I don't know a guy who that doesn't apply to. And let's be clear, like, no, see all the guys that are like, see all the guys that use that we see on Twitter who are throwing abuse at women and all the rest of it, right? I think for most of the guys who are, if you like, on the other side, we have nothing to do with these folk.
Thank you for speaking so openly. I appreciate it. I know it's hard sometimes in a room full of women to speak your mind. So thank you. You've got to understand. There's a huge amount of men who are out to get us. What we've got to realize, whenever we're talking about male and female kind of ways in which we be, is there's a difference between being a woman walking alone at night and a man walking alone at night.
I do see that this is so much bigger, actually, than a few men putting on a dress and a wig.
some homosexuals and some people who have tried to suppress their urges. When homosexuality was equated with, say, paedophilia, the idea became that the idea became that sleeping with a person of the same sex is of equal to sleeping with a child. And I think that there's a danger when you classify things as equally bad, whereas actually only one of those things is significantly harmful and can never involve consent.
People should be able to shun them. Why should I have to work with somebody enacting his porn fetish?
I was going to say that for those that don't know me, feel free to ask around. I have absolutely nothing to hide. I don't think I'm particularly interesting. So I wanted to say that gay men aren't necessarily camp or effeminate sounding. So please don't use that as an excuse for who should be kept or not. And I guess I'll leave it there.
All the drag queen hours are gay men. The people that are naked in the streets and pride are gay men. You know, trans women are gay men. I mean, you can't take gay out of it. Gay men cannot come out of this conversation.
See, when you judge people who are gay, you don't know anything that gay people can have kids. You know this, don't you? You kind of lumped LGB with T, and I'm going to give you a bit of a history lesson, and I'm sure I'll upset everyone here because I'm gay. I know that the people you'd probably all like to kill. LGB is very different from the T, all right? Very, very different. In about 2015, T was added to LGB. And the reason it was added was because predominantly the T were homosexual males who were highly effeminate. Homosexual males who were highly effeminate, i.e. they like to wear makeup, dresses, stuff like that. They knew they were homosexual. They just were highly effeminate. And they normally came from a background of a highly religious background, who were very anti-gay. And they also came from a background of abuse. All right? So not a very nice childhood. And that's why these people existed. All right? And that's why it was added. Since
I'm
then...
glad Nay spoke up, because this is exactly
what about
I
the
wanted
trans
to hear.
men? You know,
Yeah.
you'd be freaking out if a fucking trans man went
We
into
don't want men. We don't want women that
Chandler,
have boyfriends. I don't
interrupt or I'll
care.
mute you.
Right. I'm going to tell you both this, because it seems to escape the fact that this is about defending women and children. Let me just tell you, if a woman decides to make herself look like a man, which most of them don't pass, they're all about 4'7", but if women take testosterone and they make themselves less looking like a woman and they want to go and use the men's, I don't care. Women who run the risk, right, of looking like men by taking testosterone, because I don't buy this idea that women who are a little more butch, and I know some women don't like that word, but women who look more masculine, they still look like women. That's not an argument. However, if you have decided that you're a man, then you run the risk of having to go into men's spaces.
What amount of feminine expression in men is acceptable, and when does it become unacceptable?
Well, wearing little girls' clothes is unacceptable. Wearing clothes in order to be read as a woman is unacceptable. I've yet to meet anybody who claims to be the opposite sex that isn't driven by fetish. And a man with a sexual fetish dressing as a little girl, I think it's preposterous.
I think there's a difference between gender non-conformity and dressing like a little schoolgirl.
These things are just another way to obscure really bad behaviour, and then special groups that you're not allowed to ask questions of, because then you're a homophobe.
I will hold on to the desire for us to move forward. And that's for women, that's for the LGB, and that's for a safe world for gender non-conformity.
People should be able to shun them. Why should I have to work with somebody enacting his porn fetish?
It is a sexual thing that should remain in the bedroom.